Today, we exist in some age that it's important to be actualized in a little bit of times. And the question is, it is so important that the industry is automated and innovate? Well, first one, the controllers are a fundamental part of the automated industry. Since its incorporation, the technological benefits have been extremely important. Controllers are multifunctional tools which, from the moment of their implementation, they reduce the cost, labors, and another things, all with the purpose of the established in this industry 4.0, which is currently the idea of the industrial matters. The industry 4.0 is the industry which in the production process will become more intelligent. This means that the result of this will be obtained in a faster way. In addition, it will analyze how users are affected. In general, the main challenge of the industry 4.0 is the correct management of it every day. And more countries are integrating this new modality in industrial of robotic. Yeah, according to an investigation with the FB, the International Federation of Robotics, in 2018, an increase of 6% has been installation of industry robots with China, Korea, Japan, and USA. For 2019, Mexico is the 9th place in the installation of industrial robots in the world. With the data provided, we can conclude that most of these robots work based on the PLS, which is programmable logic controllers. Today, industries must be competitive at industrial level and clearly entering competitive issues. Industries must begin to put aside manual tasks to start a future and a reality in which companies have to involve in order to satisfy which various industrial parameters that need to be understood to be a more efficient industry for the industrial environment. There will always be general comments in which issues of employment opportunities are mentioned, where normally that more of the 37.2% of the population that work in industry do not have a complete education. So industries begin to remove labor force and start to establish automatic process, and thus save you those manual process that people do, which will result as less as they existed before for the workers and cause dismissals, all due to a technological replacement. A situation where a company must decide on a morality or efficiency doesn't exist, and one industry is going to care less about immorality, and it will result in choosing to make the process more efficient or consequently more economical. We're up to that point, the only thing that will depend on this good installation of the automatic controllers and people. In this case, mechatronic engineers who collaborate in case of a software failure could exist. It could be solved as soon as possible for the company, avoid economic losses. After begin in a service for a while. For industry to be considered 4.0 today, they should consider the inclusion of the programmable methods that control the process, which in many cases will be manual. All this make more efficient process. The tools to work with these are to begin with the programmable controls, which are established computers that are programmable to fulfill the established task depending what that the company needs. And it considers the fourth transformation. It is important to understand that because there I have so many advantages of having such industry, and mainly the improves of productivity and elaborates a much more optimized structure of the process. All this with a more alternative way of treating the data that is obtained with the elaboration of examination of each part of the machinery. In addition to the fact that the security that is transmitted much better since the error marking is greatly reduced, where the only appreciable errors can be like the software errors that are solved with the programming techniques like that they do into the engineering. Finally, that will be cause each of these points to be fulfilled, that it's industrial competitiveness, will be much better or greater. And one of the other hand, the biggest disadvantage is that the industry faces sometimes due to the lack of willingness of workers to adapt, and where there is no clean production. Placing yourself in our region, that more than anything in Tijuana, understanding that it's an industrial zone and that the increase of the mechanical industries have been increasing. And it is important to mention each point of the industry, which after saving mentioned the advantage is the spending of a popular industrial decision. If change is made like gradually or suddenly, because as mentioned, the mood of the employment can be taken differently, and that despite the fact that in more hypothetical cases, the industry it's only automated and that there are like service people. Since it's necessary that work environment it's optional, so that work is like always the ideal, yeah. Finally, a company must finally decide and understand the time in which they find themselves, where it's important to innovate. Clearly, knowing the industry, it's more than necessary for any industry, and more Tijuana, who is next to the border, where we find yourself in a very industrial zone, uh, where these chains are like the pandemic. It is more than necessary to make the process efficient, unless they will want to have serious economic losses, in which the best solution will be to create and establish a better way to work to finally become a prodigious company. And clearly following the consideration which is mentioned before in my speech, that will be to take like a decision on the moral and economic hand by hand, where we can like now understand industrial innovations does not necessarily mean employment. Thank you.